We're up to the Harachamon for the Balabayas, or in some Sidurim, the Hirotzoin for the Balabayas. Now, just some words of introduction. The next few benching bites, probably a few Shiurim, will be regarding the Harachamon for the Balabayas, the Hirotzoin, and how it segues into what we know as Bamoroim Yelamdu Alehem. It's interesting, because those of us who are already a little bit into our ages knows that really we grew up, and most of the older Sidurim did not have the Hirotzain for the Balabais. In recent years, it's been put back in. Reality is, it's a Gemara Brachas. The Gemara Brachas says that when an Eireach benches, that it says like this, it says the Balabais should honor an Eireach to bench, because in those days, whoever benched was mitzi everybody. Because if the Eireach benches, the Eireach can give a special bracha to the Balabayas. The Eireach can give a bracha, the guest can give a bracha to the host. And the Gemara gives a whole lashon of the Hirotzain, Shalayevish Balabayas, right? That whole Hirotzain. Was a Hirotzain, which would be said only by the Mevarich, and he might see everybody, and therefore, if the guest benches, he could say it. Now, it would seem that from looking at the various Achreinim, especially the Teisus Yamtiv, the Vechamudis, and the 1500s, it would seem that at some point, this Hirotzain fell by the wayside, for lack of a better term. It stopped being said. And the Teisus Yamtiv asks, how come it stopped being said? In the Gemara Brachas, he asks it. And he says that he's Tamati, he has a Tamur that we changed the Nusach. What's he talking about that we changed the Nusach? L'chayra, he's talking about that we switched to this lashon of Harachamon. What happened, it would seem to me, is that once became regular that everybody benched, and not just the Mevorich, right? That everybody was saying benching to themselves, so it was no longer one person saying out loud. So everyone would say the Harachamon, and sort of the Hirotzain was redundant, they felt, and it stopped being said. Where did it come back into being? So, in Eretz Yisrael, the Talmidei Hagra went back to Eretz Yisrael. One of the things the Goyin sent with his Talmidim back, I'm not going to go into all the different items that they do, but it was to go back to what we refer to as Dina de Gemara. And they went back to one person being benching, being mighty the others, and they put back in the Hirotzain, because that's the Dina de Gemara. 25, 30 years ago, Shiva Bachram started going back to Eretz Yisrael. People started going back and forth. In Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim, they said the Hirotzain based on this. They came back to America, and now it's pretty common in all the American Siddur. Artsko went and put it in a gray box in the Siddur, and I'm not sure why it's a gray box. The gray box, I thought, was reserved for Yom Tov and other special occasions, but there's a gray box to say the Hirotzain for the Eireach. Now, where does the Hirotzain for the Eireach go? So today, in a lot of the prints, we see the Hirotzain for the Eireach before the Harachamon for the Balabais. It sort of breaks up the Harachamons. Now, the problem with that is that that's not what the Machzavitri or the Cheschaim. If you look at the Rishonim are very clear that first you say the Harachamon, then for the Balabais, and then you say the Hirotzain. And I will tell you that l'chayr it makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Because what's after the Hirotzain? If you look in the Cheschaim, if you look in the Machzavitri, it goes straight from the Hirotzain into Mimorim Yilamdu Olav Zechus, right? This which we all say, B'amorim Yilamdu Olav Aleinu Zechus Sheteilu Mishmer Shalim. Now, B'amorim Yilamdu Olav, what does that mean? In the Morim up there in the heavens, Yilamdu Zechus, they should be Milamid Zechus on us. What's the lashon? The lashon is, if you look today in many of the Sidurim, it says Yirachim Yilamdu Aleihem V'Oleinu, on them and on us. But if you look at the Rishonim, it's not like that. It says Yilamdu Olav V'Oleinu, and if you look at most of the Sidurim printed until the last 25, 30 years, even when we grew up, the Tikkun Meir, the Siddur Shiloi had Yilamdu Olav. Why? Because coming off the Harachamon, off the Hirotzain, the Mimorim Yilamdu Olav, later on it got changed to Ba'morim, but the Rishonim say it as Mimorim, right? That Yilamdu Olav is referring to who? Who should we Milamid Zechus? On him and on us. Who's the him? The him it was a continuation of the Hirotzain. Some of the Rishonim, it's not even a period between the end of the Hirotzain and Mimarim, Yilamdu Olav. And since the Hirotzain is in Loshen Yochid to a Zachar, the thanking the Baal Bayis in that whole tefillah is Nechasav Shaloi Yishloit Banu, right? It's written in the Lashon Yachid Lashon Zachar, and therefore Bamorim Yilamdu Olav is a continuation on him, and then Hashem should be aleinu all the rest of us, right? If you're going to put it now, when did it switch from Olav to Aleihem? So one of the earliest Sidurim that have the Aleihem is, in fact, Yitzchak Isaac, I should say, Satanov, who lived in 1732 to 1804. He switched it to Aleihem. Now, he was from the early Maskilim. I'm not here to talk about him, Be'etzim. We can talk about other things about him. But he was an early Maskilim. They went and they were fixing up the grammar of the benching. L'chayra, at that point, he probably did not have the Hirotzim being said by the common person, only the Harachamon. Now, the Harachamon for the Baal Habayis is Baal Habayis is Baal Habayis, and therefore, he switched it to Yilamdu Aleihem. And that, but it went back to Olav anyway for many generations. There are some other late Siddur from the late 1700s, early 1800s also that have Aleihem, but that was the first one. Now, it's understood why he did that, because it would be correct coming off the Rachmans that was in plural. Now, well, what happens to us? What happens if you're sitting at a Suda alone and you say, Rachman Yivarach Oisi Vesishti, Oisanu Veskol Ashalonu? So who's Allah Aleihem referring to? It really doesn't make sense to be said. And in fact, if you look in the Siddur of Yaakov Emden Siddur, when he puts in Bamorim Yilamdu, he puts Olav and the Vav for Va'aleinu in parentheses. Because if you're only eating yourselves, Rabbi Yaakov Emden is trying to say, you just say Harachamon, you say Mimorim Yilamdu Aleinu. Just like you said Harachamon Aisanu. Right? So whoever you said in the Harachamon, that's who the Bamorim is referring to, and the Bamorim is meant to come right originally after the Hirotzen, and then now we do it after the Harachamon. And I'll finish off with one more raya that this makes sense, because what we say at the end of the Harachamons, we say V'noimar Amen. And then we say Bamorim Yilamdu. Now really, if Bamorim Yilamdu is a continuation of the Harachamons, why is there V'noimar Amen? V'noimar Amen we find throughout Tefillah and like end of V'nei Yerushalayim to show the end of brachas that are da'iraisa and brachas that are abanon. We have an amen in between. An amen breaks it up. But if you're going straight from the Rachmons and Mimorim Yilamdu Olav is going on the Rachmon of Baal Habayis, why is there V'neimer amen? But if you understand the way the Rishonim have it, that first you had the Rachmons, then you had the Hirotzin that the Gemara brings. Then it makes, right, and then the Mimorim Yilamdu is going on the Hirotzin, then it makes sense that to have a V'neimer amen at the end of the Rachmon for the Baal Habayis. Why? Because that's a set. The Harachmons was a set. The Hirotzin goes back to the Tefillah of the Gemara, with the continuation into Mimorim Yilamdu Olav. The next year we'll make some more ha'aris on the Hirotzin.